All right, this is going to be a fun one. You know,
Actually.
almost a year ago, I had Jesse, who started this little rabbit company that makes this little AI computer on my show, and it kicked off a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster ride for sure.
It's been a crazy year for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You know, I heard you're a fraud. I had seen you ship agents. I mean, there's a lot of craziness in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been enjoying it so far. I think absolutely. The AI hardware is a big hype for this year since Humane and Rabbit, and there's a lot of conversations going on, right? So I think for us, we were thrilled and honored to be able to sell and ship more than 100,000 units, which is way above our estimation, right? I think the first time we chatted, we said
we were hoping we would sell 5,000 or
exactly. Yeah, I told you before we even start shipping. I said, hey, I'll be happy if it's like 3,000 to 5,000. You remember that, right? So, yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, finally to be able to see you again. So, ask whatever question you have. I think it'll be.
So I know a lot of these people have them as desk weights or in a drawer somewhere, you know, the bottom. They haven't seen them for a while. Why should they pull it out of the drawer and try it again?
Well, I think, it was certainly the case that for the first version, which was shipped around April 23rd, there's a lot of bugs. And a lot of people, I totally understand, a lot of people, like, they tried it, they don't like it, they put it somewhere eating dust. But the team is being really has done. We actually pushed more than 20 different OTAs over the past couple months, and if you face them now, it's almost like a 1 week per OTA. So obviously, me personally, I actually watched all the YouTuber reviews and all the media reviews and all that. I actually had a Notion file.
Up a bit. Did you have to go to?
No. I mean, it's kind of like a weird. I think this kind of information or conversation usually don't pass out to the external context, right? So because me as a CEO, obviously I'm impressed by the day one experience, but low-key I'm happy because I can use that to push my engineers, be like, hey, everyone is talking about this, go fix it right away. And that's exactly what we do. And I think to build and fix stuff is the nature of startup. I don't think this is absolutely anything out of normal. I think that's basically our food and water every day. So we have done build all the stuff. First of all, to answer your question directly, even though there's a huge wave of hate and misunderstandings, misinformation, and critical reviews in the early days, the total return number for this product is still remain less than 5%, believe it or not. That's very impressive from anything Gen 1 hardware. Like even mature products could see.
Yeah, Apple Vision Pro probably had more than that.
well, absolutely, yeah. I think 5% less return rate is a very strong number, and obviously our goal working towards let's fix all the stuff. Let's try to make people happy, right? Because they pay for this, and we basically fixed all the day one bugs right away. Like I think MKBHD was mentioning about the battery. We basically put a battery over 3 days within like 2 days after that video release. A lot of things there's again the word I like to use is misinformation. A lot of people think, oh, you're just a new team, you don't know what's going on, and you probably don't have a QA to test it all out. And for instance, like the battery was actually caused by a long WebSocket link to a Spotify. It was nothing to do with the hardware. So it's a lot of stuff because the entire cloud infrastructure we have to build from scratch. So long story short, I think most of the bugs getting fixed very quickly, and then we've been focusing on LAMP, obviously. I think the beginning of the year when we talk about agent, there's like just so many definitions, and now I'm sure you saw. I know you have this crazy X deck with like 1 million followers, and you saw them in the same time.
Lately, man, the world is speeding up. There's like new things every 2 minutes.
Exactly, absolutely. I admire you have that meta setup. I was really amazing.
I need some agents to read my list so I can go to the beach.
Absolutely, and hopefully next time you have some sort of an agent from Rabbit to summarize what's going on, right, and only give you the alert. But anyway, when we talk about the agent in the early days, I think a lot of people have this like a kind of like very blurry imagination of what the agent should be, and I think for us, when we first introduced the LAM first version, we support 4 apps only. We talked about this, and I explained, hey, we have to use the recordings to make this work. But very quickly, we actually moved towards what we call LAM Playground now, which is this, complex system with different components to be able to have your R1 do whatever tasks you want as long as the destination is a website. So we basically kind of like stay up to our promises, and we release all the stuff based on our roadmap. I think we see a very good increase in engagement. There's a couple of waves. The first wave is obviously all the bugs being taken care of, most of the day 1 bugs being fixed, and the second wave is since October 1st. Which we dropped the LAM Playground. I think you pick it up from my Twitter as well, right? So I think the reason for that is obviously people in the early days asking why it's not an app, why is there anything that you can do that my phone cannot? Well, guess what? With Apple's iPhone or Android, you cannot just talk to their AI, be like, hey, go to Amazon, add a 12-pack Diet Coke, and deliver to my house tomorrow, right? So it's a very
2027.
Right. I mean, you can go to the app and do it for yourself, but that's not the concept of the agent. So I think people slowly getting to understand what the agent should represent. I think, we obviously we've been building in public for sure. Like I post every latest update. I talk to the Discord members all the time. But yeah, overall, it's been enjoying it. I think, for us, a story kept hold and we catch up with our own speed. Really, just the thing is we don't have any serious competitor from startup. And that's very painful. And that from early days of, for example, like Tesla, right? People compare the first version of Tesla with Prius, saying that, oh, you have less mileage. You're not even a car. You're like modified Lotus. And you have shittier interior design than Maserati or whatever. So I think we're running the same challenges. Like people compare this to the previous generation of phone, which is... Yeah.
Give me 3 reasons to pull this out of my drawer, load it up with the latest software, and try using it again.
Yeah. First of all, if you go to the new rabbit hole, what you'll see is that you will see actually I can share my screen because we're in Google Chat, because why not, right? So first of all, we put a lot of new stuff here. Right off the bat, what you're going to see is that we have this LAM Playground. And the LAM Playground is where this new generation of LAM exists, which is a no pre-training general agent that can perform any task on a website. And you can use from the rabbit hole to type if the prompt is super long, but you can just grab your R1 and ask about it. So you can literally just grab your R1 and say, hey, go to Amazon and do this, go to somewhere else and do that. I'll tell you some of my use cases, right? So I basically manage all my subscriptions from R1 now because the Amazon killed the dash button. If you remember the dash button from the early days, that was really, really neat. Just press one button, you got another typos delivered to your door.
Ryan, the PR guy, is showing up on my screen. Ryan, can I have you lead the call, please? Because you're taking up the space. Thank you.
Yeah. So I use R1 to do like tasks, automated tasks from website. Actually, this is quite smart. And a good example is that, we put a sample prompt here. It's like you can stack all the queries that, for example, I just need to refresh my page. You can be like, hey, go to Reddit, search for people's recommendation of this year's best TV, and then go to Best Buy and see if that's in stock. And if not, then go somewhere else. You can actually stack infinite amount of information. So for example, if I'm just running this as a sample query, and you see both of my hands, so that means that I'm not operating this. And it's pretty fast, and it will just do things for yourself. And obviously, anything that I demonstrated here, you cannot achieve by the current version of Siri or Gemini. It will just is based on your prompt, right? So this is really handy. This is the next generation LAM, and all of a sudden your R1 can do more than 4 apps. You can do anything if it's a website, and people been using this to do simple things as simple as like I have a hot yoga place I go, and they have this very obscure website that I have to manually schedule for the next class, and just use R1, talk to it, and find a slot, and that will be it. And there's also
it can look things up. It can buy things.
It can play Wordle. It can play.
It can play games.
It can do things.
That's happening in some of the bigger models.
Exactly. But we dropped this back in September, which is pretty popular. Another thing that I want to emphasize is obviously the login for this. We introduced this cookie jar, which is really neat. because we don't save the credentials, you just go here and you want to log into a new website, we'll just save the cookies. And this is universal across RabbitOS. So once I logged in with my Amazon or Google here, I can just say, hey, send an email to Robert using my Gmail. And it will just put a cookie. You don't need to log in again. It will just automate the task. The second reason for you is obviously the long-awaited teach mode. And I think this is very, very exciting. And a lot of people, to be honest, they told me that they bought R1 purely because of this. And we did actually finish the teach mode development quite early. I think somewhere around April to May, we have our code ready for this. But the reason that it takes so long to release to the general public, we actually just rolled out this to every R1 user around like 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. The reason is that we started with like a small alpha group that they have to sign an NDA and they work with our engineer directly, because we realized that this tool sometimes can be more powerful than you thought, right? Because the idea of the teach mode is that you train a new lesson and you just demonstrate how you do things once with natural language, zero code needed, which is amazing. But it's very easy to think of if there's a bad actor, or if someone trains a malicious agent, right? For example, we actually, were very scared of it. So that's why we decided to kind of like figure out what exactly we should enforce to.
So I could teach somebody how to fix a washing machine or code something or something like that. What kinds of things are people teaching people right now?
So again, this current version, I'll give you some examples. All of a sudden, if you go to, because Google Home Automation has or Nest, they has this website, and you can just go there, and all of a sudden your R1 can control the entire Google Home system within 5 minutes. Basically, it's very simple, right? So if I go to the website and I will just type something here, I'll just give you a quick example. I actually, manage my community gate system, where now I just use my R1 to say, hey, Robert's visiting me, add Robert to my gate, and that would be it. The idea is that you go to any website, right? So for example, if I go to Amazon.com, and if I go here, and it's very simple, it's just gonna load a VNC here for the destination website, and think about this can be like a smart home system or whatever. And what all you need to do is just basically do this, and it goes here, and I log in, and it goes to teach session. And here, very simple. You just need to put 3 informations, right? Lesson name is like a file name. You can give whatever name. You can be like Amazon 1 or whatever. And task session is where it's very interesting. So for example, you, instead of writing a code, if you think about developing an app for iOS, instead of writing tens of thousands of lines of code, now you can just describe in natural language. So I can do something be like, hey, I want search for example, XYZ specific band of toilet paper, and that's the merchandise I want, or anything in particular you want, and add to my cart or checkout, or set up the subscription for 3 months or 4 months, and you just describe this, and you start teach. And when you start teaching, and everything here will just waiting for you to input. All you need to do is just to demonstrate the sequence once. That's how it works. And then you said, hey, I'm done process. It takes 2 minutes. And all of a sudden, if you go back here, you have your own lessons. And you can also see a lot of the community lessons that we curated. These are all from our users. And the importance of this feature is that this is, for me, this is like my vision towards the future app store, but it's for agent. And if you have to think about, what makes iOS so successful, is because of the app store. And we have to think about what does it take for us to develop a legitimate app, either it's on Android OS or iOS. You have to know some sort of coding, right? You have to kind of like work on the UI and stuff. And that's certainly not for everyone. Even with the ChatGPT GPTs, I think they rolled out last year, you still have to work with some sort of API. You have to write some sort of a Python code. But with this, all you need to do is just demonstrate once, zero code, and the process time takes 2 to 5 minutes. And then we have some crazy numbers to share. We rolled out this to general public around 2-3 weeks ago, and now I believe we have more than 2,700 agents being created.
Wow.
So you have to think about velocity, right? So
Yeah.
people using this to make your own customized agent within 2 to 5 minutes, and eventually we're working on a business model where if Robert, if you build an agent and a million other people would like to use it, you should be making money from it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought AI is going to take our jobs. You're creating new jobs for us.
I think this is just an evolution on what we call the traditional programmer or app developer, right? Instead of we significantly lower the barrier that as long as you know what you're doing from a computer and person perspective, you don't need to figure out the code because Teach Mode can take care of it.
Yeah.
And then the next question is that what's the difference between Teach Mode and the LAM Playground? And you can think about LAM Playground is this no per-training, more generic agent that can do most of the tasks, but you're giving a lot of the options for AI to guess which to pick.
Yeah.
But Teach Mode is repeating exactly what you're doing. So it fundamentally eliminates the hallucination part. And it's just like a super beefy macro. If you remember back in the days, we played World of Warcraft. We have this skill macros configured into one button, and that's basically Teach Mode. So that's number two. You should maybe get to the latest OTA and give it a try. The third one is even more straightforward. R1 is the first ever device that the entire UI can be generated based on your prompt. Period. So I'll give you a quick example.
Like an operating system all around AI, are you?
Exactly. So that's a key differentiator between this versus an app or a traditional phone. So I'll give you again an example. So Robert, give me some prompt of what the UI should be look like.
First of all, it has to be dark mode.
Okay.
It has to be dark.
make sure
Use dark mode.
It's dark mode.
I mean, in the old Visual Basic days, I might pull a spreadsheet out. I might pull a button out. I might pull a text entry box out.
Yeah.
And hook that spreadsheet up to a database, so I could do some database lookups and see my spreadsheet filling in or something like that, right?
Yeah. So you can be prompting in that way, but you can even prompting in inspirational way. Be like, hey, make the entire interface as if from the world of Zelda, for example.
Ooh.
So you can be very creative. So
like
okay.
I got a Ready Player One poster on my wall over here. Could you make me like a Ready Player One kind of mode?
Sure. Okay. So I'm trying to convert that into a simple prompt. So make sure it's dark mode.
We might be looking at a product coming in a couple of years from you. Hey, you're gonna have a pair of glasses, and you're gonna be talking to the pair of glasses someday.
Yeah, and and the entire interface,
yeah,
must be. Let's gaslighting the AI. It must be exactly from
the movie or whatever.
The movie. Ready Player One.
Environment that they were playing in, I think, if I remember the movie.
Yeah. And better be good.
Yeah, make it fun,
Yeah, so. and fun. Okay. Use animation if possible.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just giving it style. We're not giving it functionality, right?
No, we're giving style, right?
Yeah.
We're giving style, and that's it. You click customize.
Okay.
And that's it. Okay, so I have my R1 right here, which I'm gonna get rid of this filter. So I'll demonstrate this to you. Give me a 7 days keto diet plan and detailed workout plan for me. I'm a 34-year-old now. So let's wait for a bit. The good thing about this is that this is on the cloud, so it's taking effect immediately. So you can change very quickly change different plans just from here. So meanwhile, while waiting for this, the R1 is running.
So if you don't like the Ready Player One and you want it to look like Minecraft, you can just talk to it and tell it, yeah, now I want to see my thing as a Minecraft.
Exactly. So meanwhile, you are seeing my Twitter right now, but I have this Epic thread that I collected a lot of like user prompts, which is really cool. So let me find where that is.
All right.
1 second.
Here is a comprehensive 7-day keto diet plan and a detailed workout plan.
Yeah, I think this is Epic thread you see here. So for example, this guy says, hey, everything minimalistic. That was a prompt,
Breakfast. Scrambled
and
eggs
the entire interface changes. And then we have another guy, Word of Zelda. That's another example.
I'm not seeing that on your
Oh,
desk.
sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me just
breakfast,
change this
avocado
real
and
quick.
bacon omelet. Lunch, tuna salad with mixed greens. Dinner, beef stir fry with broccoli.
There you go. So this guy is like, imagine everything from Word of Zelda. And this is actually using the LAM agent to shop on Amazon, you see. It's
Yeah.
still building this, but the interface changed from the Word of Zelda. And then this guy says, hey, how about Sonic, the Hedgehog?
Lunch.
You can see even generate the coins. And then this guy is like, hey, from more like 90s sci-fi movie like Matrix.
Breakfast, chia seed pudding with
Yeah, this is so much fun. By the way,
That's fun.
I have yours ready. So let me get rid of
Alright.
this filters
lamb chops with roasted Brussels
real
sprouts.
quick. So let me
Day 6.
adjust this.
Breakfast, smoothie
There
with
you go.
spinach, avocado, and coconut.
That's your Ready Player One
Lunch,
7-day
salad.
workout keto plan
Dinner, roasted chicken
with
cauliflower
animations
rice. Day
that
7.
mimics the HUD. But obviously the prompt matters here, right? So you can even fine tune what I do.
But then we get better result. Yeah, like everything.
But hey, there's no other device can do this right now.
No.
This is the first device that you can have your entire UI being generated by your prompt, which is really, really neat. But yeah, long story short, I think this
This is like GeoCities, but easy to do. I lost about half the audience. What the hell is Geo?
Yeah,
Old days, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But those three things is what I would recommend to every user. Take it out, give to the update, and give it another try. And really, the importance of the agent I cannot emphasize enough, because everyone now is racing to that. We still believe that what we have is the most advanced system, and also plug and play. Instead of another company, I think Anthropic released the computer use, right? There's multiple other companies doing their own version. But you have to think about agent is really not just an API. It's like, you have to build something that for every user to understand, they can just talk to it and get a result.
Yeah.
That means that you have to the model itself, the vision model, the LLMs, and you have to have this entire cloud infrastructure to kind of like handling the logins, cookies, as well as fault detection, captchas and all that stuff. But we have all the system ready, and it's in this $199 subscription box
Yeah.
right away.
That's awesome. When you first were talking about large language models with me a year ago, you were sort of laying out that, someday the software is going to be able to look at an Uber app and figure out how it works and get you an Uber ride, or look at, an Excel spreadsheet and go, oh, I know how to do, all sorts of things with Excel. How much of that vision has arrived, and what's still to be done?
So most of the early visions has been achieved. There are some challenges, which is not to Rabbit, but rather to the entire industry, which is obviously what I mentioned, CAPTCHA and bot detection, right? So we're currently working on a new universal driver that basically makes our agent to be identified as human as possible. I mean, we have most part of it. In fact, one of the reasons that R1 is very handy is that it's using, because the entire agent runs on cloud, right? And everyone make the agent runs on cloud. And the R1 is using your local proxy. So to Amazon, they're not seeing some random Oregon IPs where our AWS server is hosted. For instance, they're seeing me as Jesse in Santa Monica. So that's one of the challenges. I think some websites are, kind of like very generous about the policies on this. Some of the websites, not necessarily saying they're less secure or more secure, but their system is just like very old way of looking at agents as 100% bot, which I think it's gonna change, right? Because everyone now is working on agent. The CAPTCHA system, the Cloudflare stuff, they have to change at some point. So to simply go somewhere and do something, that's being accomplished. What we're working on right now is we're expanding the LAM to cross-platform. And I think what I can do is I can give you a private demo after this, because we haven't announced yet. But what we can do is we can give you an idea, and we're going to announce something very, very soon that, we have all these agent pieces here and there. We have the teach mode, we have the playground, but we also have a LAM that works directly on Windows and Linux. And we have a LAM working on Android system as well. So our next big focus is that really just to trying to get all these components to become one operating system.
Yeah.
And that's more like a moving curve, right? So internally, we've been achieved some example, be like, hey, you just wake up and you have 4 things to do, right? I wake up today, I have 4 things to do. I will just say the 4 things and that's it. For user, you don't need to worry about, oh, this to renew the DMV license, you have to go to their website, and to write a document, you have to go to Microsoft Word. And then the agent will be smart enough to parallel run all the tasks for you, and for you getting the result, and more importantly, a result in generative UI with all the information you need, nothing else, right? So that's our next big focus, and we've been working on that since the second half of this year.
My friend Andy built his own agent to call businesses to make, to check with a restaurant if there's a reservation available or something. Right. I need a haircut. I ask ChatGPT or the Rabbit, hey, can you give me a haircut appointment at Supercuts?
Yep.
Well, there's an API at Supercuts for that, right? Or there's at least a website where you can sign up for 1 o'clock this afternoon kind of haircut. How close are we to having a Rabbit that can do that, that can call a business and talk to the person at the business, get an answer and bring it back and then say, yeah, you got a haircut at 1 o'clock, or you got a restaurant reservation, or your laundry is ready to be picked up, or something like that.
So I think just to make an appointment, change appointments through a website, we already can do that with Playground, and that's already been there in the system.
A business that doesn't have it all hooked up on the website, it answers the phones,
that can be handled pretty well. So the challenge being obviously making phone calls, right?
Yeah.
I think Google has a internal project they canceled called Duplex.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them coming. There's a bunch of companies that do voice,
And then there's obviously, after Google's Duplex, there's multiple other third-party companies working on that. The good thing is it's theoretically possible already, because all you need to do is just hook that to Teach Mode to that destination, right? So we have all these components ready for user to configure their own routines. Sometimes you don't necessarily want to give all the options for AI. I'll give you a quick example. If you say, hey, just order me a brand new iPhone. Well, the AI will go there and pick a color of AI's choice. And then if you don't say, here's my name, here's my address saved in the cookie jar in a safe spot, what the AI is going to do is the agent's going to basically just put John Doe and ABC Main Street. He's just going to start making things. But still, the capability is there to start proceeding to the final purchase. So I think what you mentioned is already possible. To be honest, what's not possible is a very clear, easy to understand front-end user product, so that they don't need to go get repos from 20 different GitHubs and working from here and there.
My friend Andy can do that because he's a nerd, but I'm not a nerd.
Right, exactly, and that's something that we're enabling on this device with just push the top button, right? So I think by the end of this year, you will see the continuous velocity of Teach Mode. We obviously start working on the business model part of it, the App Store idea part of it. How can we make the developers beneficial from this system? And how can we kind of like cross-share this agent? Because the fact is, if you train an agent to control Google Homes, the entire system learns that, right? So it's not necessary for second people to do the same thing. And we can just offer that as a capacity or capability to every R1 user. So we're going to figure out that part, as well as most important thing for us is to get every cross-platform agent in one space and present it in a very simple way. So that's basically what I'm being personally and our team's being focusing on right now.
One thing I tried with ChatGPT at Thanksgiving dinner was to have multiple people talking to the phone at the same time about something, right? Like arguing over where should we go for dinner or whatever, right? Or just talking. And it failed miserably because, I would give it an instruction and then somebody else would start talking. And while it was giving the answer, it would stop, not answer me, and not be very human with it. Where is your voice to text technology? The system that's listening, how can it handle any of that kind of thing? Or is it still a single voice? Or
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you mentioned that because I've been working on smart home speakers 10 years ago, right? So I think that was the debate back then, the wake up words and the way that we handle dictation. I don't think it has anything to do with the speech to text engine. The speech to text engine is pretty accurate. What's happening on your scenario is that you just simply have too much background noise, and the algorithm to detect when to stop and send that query is messed up. And the algorithm is very simple. Basically, it waits for the decibels to drop to a certain layer. Right.
It's not just noise, it's multiple people
It's multiple
talking
people
at the
talking.
same time, having an argument or whatever.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, they would track each of those people, understand what they're each saying, and then maybe batch an answer to each of us and say, hey,
Right.
Robert, you said this, here's my answer. Alex,
Right.
here's your answer, and Mary, here's your answer, right?
Yeah. So that part, what we call internal, we have a code name called QMON. We can handle that with multiple queries, stack questions. You can ask completely different related questions. But for our hardware design, I was super cautious about wake up words or always listening. So that's why, I start thinking about the most challenging, most demanding scenarios where human needs to use voice, which is obviously, military and EMS and all that, firefighters, all those are push to talk button, right? They're not open mic, and that's for a reason, because we don't want to get the AI system to be messed up.
But a lot of people say, well, you just need to mute it after you talk to it, but they're not. It can't really listen to a group talking around the device, right? And we want that at some level.
If you say that, then that's effectively push to talk, because you have to click that button to mute it, right? You actually have to click twice because you have to make it listening again. So that's even worse. I'm just not a big fan of always listening at this point. There's various reasons for that, and I really hate wake up words because the least thing you want to do is, like, we have this amazing podcast where both logged in, and then there's an Alexa speaker somewhere. It's be like, what I can do for you. That happens all the time, so I don't like that. Yeah, but anyway, I think
I have this use case because half my family is Iranian, and they talk. Sometimes they're talking Farsi back and forth in the kitchen. I'm talking with my brothers in English, and I want a device that's telling me what the other people are talking about, which is a little weird, privacy and all that. But my family's used to me recording them and turning on devices and playing with weird ass things, so they're in that way. But it just doesn't work very well for that. Even a single user talking to them, talking to somebody who only speaks Farsi, it does translate, but it also often breaks, and it's not fluid like a human translator would be, who's standing right there and translating it for you and telling you what's important that the other person said, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, my personal experience on the hardware being that the microphone that we pick for something that can handle that, which is a microphone far field, microphone field, versus a standard 2-piece or 1-piece microphone. I think the performance is like vastly different. You will need a microphone array, a 6 mic array or like 4 mic array at least to handle that from different locations. Even
which a phone has a mic array, right? It has 3 or 4 microphones in an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You only have 1 microphone.
No, we do have 2, and our 2 microphones. Yeah, you have to make sure it's a far field mic, because the range they pick up is quite different.
I'm even just holding the thing right in front of them, because I'm a nerd. I don't care about shoving something in your face, right? Or keeping it on the counter right in front of us, or that kind of thing. It's fine at picking up your voice. It just gets confused by all this noise and multi-party, because it loses track of who's talking, and then it interrupts you, or it gets interrupted. It's not perfect, and it just fails. But I'm watching.
but they're gonna announce 12 different things starting tomorrow, so we'll see. I mean, I'm super excited for the competitors and industries.
Yeah, I mean, we'll try it at Christmas dinner again. In fact, there's a voice to text company I'm interviewing who does multi voices and keeps track of who's talking around the phone and stuff like that, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of developers who are working on breakthroughs to get us to the promised land of having a device that always works when you talk to it, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's I love your little device, because it's something that I can just leave on the counter and talk to it when I don't need to look for my phone. It's just
Yeah.
sit-
Speaking of that, like one thing that completely caught me off guard is, we have a very high percentage of the user that they are actually professional American truck drivers.
Wow.
They love R1 because I guess the modern system, their company put some cameras to detect if you're driving using your phones, and that's not okay. But they have the ham radio, and this was considered as a radio, which push talk. So a lot of truck drivers bought R1, and they are driving 8 hours per day, every day, and they use this to listen to podcasts, check the weather for the next destination, maybe even book a motel, whatever. So I think different people treat this device quite differently. I think our main customer is still remain as the teenagers, and we have a whole lot of teenagers, and they're not just average teenagers. They're like hackers. They're geeks, and they love teach mode. They love to tweak on the UI, and they love to work on the Rabbit. So yeah, it's quite amazing to see, like, you will get a lot of meaningful data once you reach like 100,000 users instead of like 10,000 users or so. So
you sort of mentioned there navigating around a new city, having this thing in your hand, right? The large language models really know a lot of things. I mean, like everything. They know everything in the Smithsonian, everything in every restaurant I've been in, everything in the Disneyland, everything around the world. I've been traveling a lot this year and testing out these large language models, whether it's ChatGPT or Anthropic. I don't care. They all do a similar thing now, right?
Yeah.
But they're not hooked up to transactions. Like if you're a trucker and you're going into Chicago, you need a hotel.
Yeah.
You can find a hotel by talking to a large language model, and it's pretty accurate at that, right? You can tell it, hey, I need a hotel. It's about $300, right? And your thing is pretty good, but it doesn't let me transact. It doesn't let me say, "Oh, go get me that hotel." I'm
yeah. That, So what we can do right now,
we started to get shopping hooked up, but yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, like with a cookie jar that for a lot of services like Uber, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or even Amazon, you have your pre-approved saved credit card info, right? If that's the case, it depends on merchants. If that's the case, it will just go through. But for purchasing a new merchandise from somewhere else or booking a random hotel, that's not there yet, because for us we have to literally apply for a special license to be able to handle direct transaction. We don't have the short-term plan yet, but that's certainly something we can do. But overall, I would say US is basically very far behind if you compare to countries like Japan or China, right? Like everything's QR code. Like no one carries a wallet. Well, unfortunately, like the system here, like there's a lot of things that's still just stuck with the classic like credit carding. But
I wanted a phone call on the back end, right? Because you talk to it and say, I need a hotel.
Yeah.
And they can't hook up to the website and pay for it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can call the hotel and have a little conversation. I have a user on the who's asking the hotel. Right. They want the king suite, and and have a conversation with the other person at the hotel, and the person says, how about a credit card? Oh, here's my credit card, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I probably would never switch to Android, because I just love Apple Pay. It's one of the things. Apple Pay, iMessage.
It works everywhere, man, and particularly like Europe or over in Asia, right? Even in New York City, if you have an Apple Watch, you can use it on the subway. You just tap in and go into the subway, and it pays for everything. It's great.
Yeah, but I want to share like one particular memory that I had. It was roughly back in 2015 or 2016, where I was going to Guitar Center, Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, and it was. I'm sure that Apple Pay was there already, probably the 2 years, 3 years before that. And I didn't bring my wallet. I grab some cables and say, hey, do you guys take Apple Pay? And the Guitar Center says, no, but we only work with Samsung Pay. I was like, who the fuck use Samsung Pay? And this year, I think everyone works with Apple Pay. But it was just recent years. I mean, before that, it was just all credit cards. But when you compare like countries like Japan or China, and it's crazy. Like everything's QR.
I mean, everybody has WeChat there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Everything's like QR code. And
give me $1 or RMB. Give me an RMB. Oh, here, have some.
yeah. I mean, certainly, that part we are still a bit behind. But
yeah,
for the device itself.
But it's happening. I mean, more and more places in my life are taking Apple Pay. Over in Europe, everybody, even the street vendors, takes Apple Pay, right? Or Google Pay. All right. It's contactless payment, right? You tap your phone on a device and it pays for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but again, I think the big question behind this is that when we will make a phone, right? Because there's a lot of like the thing you mentioned about phone calls or payment and all that. I think for R1, we deliberately separate this.
When you're gonna make a robot, fuck the phone.
And I mean, we talk about that, right? We talk about that. I think on the one of the spaces you hosted, but we had a lot of
right. Soon we're gonna get glasses. In fact, at CES, there's a whole bunch of AI-driven glasses that are coming that have a display, have a headphone, have a microphone, right, and an AI computer, a large language model somewhere running, so you can talk to it. Yeah, and you would be perfect for fitting into there because you're already thinking about operating system with this and looking at things and being able to understand them in more detail, and and you have a community of people who are building all sorts of cool apps to do all sorts of cool shit, right?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. We have to do the hardware design ourselves, and we want to do it differently. And speaking of glass, obviously, it's gravitates a lot of interest. My opinion towards that is that I like the fact that you can have a screen right in front of your eye. I like the fact that you have a POV camera that can document a unique angle that traditional handheld device cannot. My biggest debate is still the frame. It is because there's prescription people, there's non-prescription people.
And Apple's going to do one, and Google's going to do one. You're not going to compete with those people.
Your skull grows to fit the frame, not the other way around.
Yeah,
I know that because I did my LASIK surgery a couple of years ago, and I used to wear a glass. And you wouldn't convince me to try for a slightly better frame because it's going to be uncomfortable for the couple. And that's the biggest challenge, because then you want to do a consumer electronics and you want to make sure that's a universal fit. But on a frame, there's no universal fit. So it's interesting. I know Meta sold so many glasses, but I never in my real life, and maybe I'm just too much of an autism, but I never in my life walked into someone that introduced the Google Meta, the Meta glass,
the Ray-Bans,
while wearing it.
Yeah,
they always take it out from their pocket and be like, "Hey, have you seen this?" But I never seen one like actually.
More and more people wearing them, but I'm in Silicon Valley where everybody's and very willing to try out new things. And
yeah. But I think it's very interesting. I was joking with
Kansas City very often for sure.
Mm-hmm. I was joking with my team. I said, "Hey, if I were trying to design that, maybe we do the Dragon Ball power meter." Instead of a traditional glass. But I like the fact that you can have something right in front of your screen. So that's one of the fun factors we're actively thinking. So
it's going to be interesting to see how you evolve as this stuff comes on the market, because it's coming at LG and Samsung and BOE showed off the projectors. They're a quarter the size of a sugar cube. They fit right on the edge of a waveguide, which looks like that, right?
Yeah.
And it puts an image in your eye. It's really, really amazing, right? So, normal people, they're not going to really consider this for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right?
Absolutely.
As they get better and as they get cheaper and all that, and as people like you innovate on them and come out with really amazing operating systems,
Yeah.
The AI does a whole bunch of stuff with it. Hey, build me a game, or hey, go buy me a,
Yeah, I think really, it's a similar story. It's a similar story to where back in the 2016, I guess, when all of a sudden 200 companies start making VR goggles, but none of those figure out what the internal operating system user interface should be, right? So same with computer graphic user interface. The mouse was in fact invented before the graphic user interface, right? And then in the early stories, I'm sure you must have heard of it. Like no one,
it was 20 years ahead.
exactly, and no one gives a shit about mouse, and everyone be confused, like, why do I need this? So it's always a good idea to like work on the software, make sure the software makes sense, and then for us, we want to build this software to be able to put into any form factor.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, and we can release like a variety of different hardware projects.
Yeah.
So we do have some
Got a
plans.
little orange rabbit in our hand, we're going to be walking around and talking.
Yeah,
I don't carry it out in the real world because I don't want to carry two devices, and this is not yet a
Right.
replacement for your iPhone, right?
Right.
I need the iPhone
Yeah.
all the time. This I leave at home on my
Mhm.
office, and I have another one on the kitchen,
Yep. Yep.
just to pick up and fool around a little bit. It's a fun little conversation device, that kind of thing. And now that it's starting to become really useful because your community, I'm using it a little bit more and more, right?
Yeah. It's never about how many hours you stick with your Rabbit R1. It's about you have something that you want to deal with it, and then forget about it, move on. So that's the whole concept. So obviously it was not replace your phone yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do things like, hey, like even I talked to Grok about the weather. Is it raining outside? I could see that it's not raining because I live in California. It's nice and sunny, but
Right.
it gives me an accurate answer, right?
Yeah.
And people do all sorts of weird stuff like that. Hey, is a certain movie playing tonight or is there tickets for a movie at Lincoln Center tonight or something like that?
Yeah. There is one particular use case that I feel really amazing. It was actually AR1 user sent me a DM, sent me a whole letter. This guy used R1 in a very creative way. This guy said, "Hey Jesse, I want to share a story." His wife will handwritten all the menus for their entire family for to cook for the week, right? So this guy basically used the R1 with a camera and point to his wife's writings of the daily menus, and basically he asked R1. He said, "Hey, this is my family's meal menu for this week that my wife put together. Analyze the ingredients and use agents to go to the grocery websites
DoorDash?
to go to like I think it's Vons or Ross, the grocery website.
Okay.
To go to grocery website and purchase all these ingredients for my wife ready to cook." And then he showed me a photo where all those being delivered to the door. And
That's awesome.
that was like,
That fits in the use case of leaving this on the kitchen counter, right?
Yeah.
Help you live your life a little bit, makes life more fun and easier.
And I like this case in particular because it really utilizes a lot of the different features, right? It has the AI vision. It takes the image from the handwriting, and then they extract the context from the menu, extract the context into ingredients, and then use the agent to understand where to purchase from all this, and then have the awareness of the user safe logging, which has this shipping address and everything just delivered to the door, which is really amazing. Yeah, we start seeing a lot of like good use cases everywhere.
I tell normal people when I meet them at a bar or I don't go to bars much anymore, but at a restaurant or something like that. Oh, did you know that AI can read the Bible to you? And it's true, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? It can read a machine learning book to you.
Yeah,
right? You can take a picture of the page and go, "Hey, I'm confused by this. Dumb it down to a 9-year level, or something like that, right?" And it does. It's amazing, and it can do the same with the Bible, and people are like, "What?"
Absolutely, yeah. I think I'll be very excited to see how actual human develop on the agent instead of just have this model to guess where to go. So the teach mode is really something that I really feel proud of. And there's a lot of.
He sends you a toy from Germany. It's all in German. You take a picture. Hey, can you translate this to English? And it does, right? It's really...
Yeah. So again, despite of the early days of a crazy roller coaster, I want to define on this product a podcast with you that still, as of today, and I believe till the CES in the coming months, R1 is still the best all-in-one handheld dedicated AI device that can do most of the things.
Yeah.
That
That's
all
funny,
the other devices.
like there's pendants and pins. Oh, dude, you're gonna be like a rap star soon. You're gonna have all sorts of shit hanging off your neck, right?
Well, but that's a different scenario, right? That's for
Yeah.
recording your conversation and extract that into conversation. So
Yeah.
if you talk about something like a Swiss knife, right, or a Leatherman multi-tool, and there's Rabbit R1. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those are listening to business meetings. You take them in, which is sort of a weird use case. I mean, that's not a common use case yet. But you know, I know Avi has one of these or these pendants, right? And he takes it to business meetings and listens to them pitching VCs, and in his ear it tells him, "Oh, you just fucked that up," or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you make your pitch this way? You forgot to bring up this key feature or this key thing. You forgot to ask for the sale or whatever, right?
Yeah. I like all these guys. I like all these guys' little projects, and I really enjoy them. I actually ordered all of them. You know, I think last AI, not AI, but last gadget I ordered was the Daylight, which is the High Fresh ebook. So yeah, I think, you know, really happy to see that people start breaking the walls and making variety of funky, colorful gadgets again. That brings us back to, you know, 90s.
I think the orange is the best thing you ever did, man. I just love looking at this thing and playing with it. It's like I don't even turn it on, and it's like a fun thing, you know. It's like, I mean, even if you're going to use it as a paperweight, it's, you know, it's a little expensive for a paperweight, but shit, it's fun to just have around, and it always causes conversations. Right? What the fuck is that? You know?
Yeah, and that was a good choice by us. But yes, stay tuned to our next project. We have a couple of the amazing ideas going, but main focus was
Anything
really
coming up that we should be watching for? Any new updates that are top secret in your lab? You know?
Yeah. I think the very next thing you should be watching for is this new RabbitOS 2.0, where we get everything together, and that's basically, I personally believe we'll get released that before everyone else, and it's just a very brand new concept.
So sometime next year.
Very early next year, sometime next year. Yeah, and the concept is really just you have X amount of things to do, right? Just talk to that system, and the system take care of it. So that's the next big thing. And meanwhile, we have you know, 2 independent hardware project that's in preparation, exploring new form factors. But like I said,
you hook it up to an AI art system. I mean, there's so much innovation shipping in 3D. You know, picture to video to 3D world. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff I'm seeing all day long.
Yeah.
Because this has an affordance of fun, right? That's the kind of thing I would love to use it a lot for. Is like just make memes show up on the screen, like, oh, look at this, you know, and show the rest of the family, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, one thing I think didn't get emphasized from the industry enough is that there's a huge difference between you being a geek, getting GitHubs all over the place to your computer versus you have something by your hand and press a button, just talk to it, right? So for us, you know, we even though we're working on legitimate, like, you know, serious agent models and systems, but bottom of the rabbit is a consumer product company. You know, we want to do something that's easy, simple to use, and fun at the same time.
I mean, can I push a button and say, hey, give me a picture of Santa in a Cybertruck, that kind of thing? And if it did, and it did a good job, that it would be fun at Christmas dinner. Hey, look, it's Santa has a Cybertruck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. Yeah, sure.
Play some music with some words, you know, give it some words. Hey, you know, here's 20 words, make me a song, you know, make me some beats.
Yeah, so one of the most amazing features we roll out is Magic Camera. I'm not sure if you saw that, but that was quite some days ago. So basically now with the R1 you can take a photo, and if you take a photo, it will convert into any style you want. And by default, we have our secret prompt, which right now we haven't updated that yet because people love that too much. Originally, we were thinking about update our secret prompt for maybe every week or every month, but people say, hey, please don't, just keep this. So anyway, if you just go to double tap, I'll do that right now. So I'll try to take a photo from this podcast. So if I just double tap this, it takes to the camera. And yeah, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
All right.
Yeah, I have a photo of you. So what happens is that you can press and hold, exactly like you said. Hey, take a photo and transform this into whatever style, whatever prompt you want. Or you can just take a photo. And what's going on is that if you say a particular style, it's going to transform. But if you just do the default,
make Scoble look dystopian, or make Scoble look like candy canes, or right, something like that, right?
And I have you right here on the rabbit hole that you can download. And we're actually gonna make the R1 be able to get this photo directly. So this is without a prompt. You just convert it into this kind of like podcast guy with pixelated style. But it's all over the place, and you can create like very creative photos. Like this is like pixelated zombie rabbit I created. But this was just like my dining table, actually counter table to the bed. I just take that. Yeah, so like this is one of the fun features that we added like probably a couple months ago, and we generated, I guess, millions of Magic Camera photos already. So.
Yeah, it's crazy because it has an affordance for being fun, right?
Yes, yes.
Grok has this fun mode in it.
Yeah.
And you start, I was talking about Santa Claus, and I said, Santa Claus fired Rudolph, I heard, and bought a Cybertruck. And they went on, and like, oh yeah, the North Pole is modernizing. And, they've made some changes up to the North Pole, right?
Yeah. I use Grok. I used Grok one time because they have a roast me mode, right? I said, hey, roast me, and it was quite funny. And he said, it looks like you and your miserable little rabbit is already getting roasted all over the place. I was
on a Twitter.
I love that.
I was on an X Audio Space last night, and there was an AI host, and that's what it was doing. You would talk to it, and it would roast you or call you names, or have fun with you, and be very on point. I was like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it fun. It's actually harder than make it useful, to be honest.
You gotta have a sense of humor to make it fun.
Exactly. And I think we did a very good job that people treat R1 as like a not very serious device. It's more like a Tamagotchi or walkie-talkie Pokédex-ish toy, which is exactly where we want to be for the first generation. But I hope that people see the hard works that we put behind for the actual agent part. That R1 is indeed.
It's a fun toy that actually does something useful. Oh my!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
we haven't had a toy in our life like that before. I've had a lot of toys in my life, but I'm not one that can read a spreadsheet.
Exactly like what you said. It's
on the street corner.
Very fun way. Yeah, this year I'm not gonna do that boring 45 minutes keynote, but we're gonna do something very, very fun. But I think again, this year main focus: fix our stuff, get people happy, and keep our promises, keep our goal of getting the agent right. Yeah. And end of this year, early next year, putting all the agents in one place, introducing this new system. Yeah. And then we follow up by a couple of other form factors. That's kind of like the big pictures.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Where should people go to learn more about a rabbit? It's $200, right?
Yeah. So best way, again, I would argue X is really the best platform to get the news. Follow our official Twitter account or X account. Go to rabbit.tech. We have all the information there. But more importantly, just reach out to me directly. I have all PMs. So
I have 5,800 companies on X, all in AI, right?
Yeah.
Crazy what's going down, right?
But probably you have the most orange ones called Rabbit.
Oh yeah, we're on a couple lists, man.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks, Robert.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.